All right, greetings to everyone. I hope we are all fine. Welcome to another episode of Mechanical Draftings N4. And today we are looking at the chapter which is called the sectional drawing. And then one will ask, what is sectional drawing? So in this particular chapter of drawing, this is where we express or we go into deep details about analyzing a drawing, in particular the component of any machine in the mechanical engineering space, where we are looking at the drawing in either from first angle orthographic projection or the third angle orthographic projection. And then either we cut fully or we cut in half or we cut in different planes that changes the direction. But I will explain more when we get into deep details about this chapter. All right. So this chapter is a continuity of the chapter that we did in engineering drawing N3. All right. Hence, the one that we are doing here in mechanical draftings N4 is the application of what we have studied from N1, N2, and N3. All right. Without any waste of time, I will just highlight the objectives of why we are doing this type of a chapter in mechanical drafting. So the first one is to explain why the section views are necessary. Number two, we need to explain the accuracy and then draw pattern plane and then hash. In other words, we need to recall from N3 how do we actually draw sectional lines. And then we also need to recognize and appropriately use the following section views types on drawings: the full section, the half section, and the offset section. So these are the three types of sections that we are going to look at on our today's lesson. Right. Okay. Remember, mechanical drafting is a practical subject, right? But this video will assist you when you are at home to recall all the concepts and all the important details that you need to adhere to whenever you are doing mechanical drafting and whenever you are looking at the sectional drawing. Okay. Right. Okay, let us jump there. Now let us look at our first drawing. So this is our first block that we are going to look at to enlighten or to recall what we have studied from engineering drawings N3 when it comes to the basics of sectional drawing. So as you can see, this block is drawn in 3D, which is three-dimensional, which means there's a top view there, there's a front view, and there's a side view, right? But now, whenever you are given a question on sectional drawing, you won't be given a 3D drawing, but you will be given a drawing, we said, either in first angle or in third angle. Now we've got these two views, which are views of this three-dimensional drawing. So the one on the top is the top view of that drawing, and the one at the bottom is the front view of the three-dimensional drawing. And we want to exercise a sectional drawing. So what I did here is that I've created a drawing in 3D to demonstrate what is happening in an actual 3D, yet we need to express that one in 2D, which is the third angle orthographic projection in this particular case. Okay, so what we are actually doing whenever we are looking at a sectional drawing, okay, so now this is our sectional drawing. Okay, what you've seen there going down is our cutting plane. Let me take it back. So this is a cutting plane. So this is where we are actually going to cut our drawing. Okay, so when we cut that block into two halves, the other one we are going to remove, and then the other one is the one that we are going to look at. Okay, and then in an actual 2D drawing on the top view, you can see that that one that is highlighted in red there, that is how we indicate our cutting plane. All right, and then those arrows, they are indicating the side that we are looking at, and the side that arrows are looking away from is the one that we are going to remove. Okay, now let us look at this one. So this is where you are at looking at this block, and then the other half is gone. Now you can actually see that after we have removed another half, all the hidden dimensions are now visible. Hence, we are saying sectional drawing, that is when we want to see the unforeseen part of a drawing. All right. So now let me take you back the drawing before we cut it. So this is how the drawing looked like before we cut it. And then when we remove, okay, before we remove it, you can see that if you are looking at a drawing from your left view, you cannot actually see the hole, which is unforeseen behind. All right. Yet once you have removed the other half, then you are going to see the hole. Okay, now let's just cut it. Now it's gone. Right. And those flashing blue area, they indicate areas that were in contact with the cutting plane. So in simple terms, if we were using a knife to cut this drawing into two halves, those blue highlighted areas, that's where the knife was cutting this drawing. All right. So now remember, whenever we are drawing a view of a drawing, once we indicate hidden details, it means there are some hidden parts of a drawing. Hence, once we remove the other part, all the hidden part of a drawing, they become visible, meaning all the hidden line, they become what? Solid. Okay. As you can see on our front view, our hidden detail, these are, we had hidden details. Pay attention. Okay. So this is how our drawing was. This is how our drawing was. And then now, since we have removed another half, all these hidden detail, they become what? Solid. Why are they becoming solid? It is simple because we can actually now see. Remember, whatever that we see, we express it in terms of a solid line. And whatever that is hidden, we express it in terms of dash lines. Okay, so our lines have turned from hidden to solid, simple because we can actually see them after we have removed the other half of a drawing. Now, what we need to do, we need to indicate areas that were in contact with the cutting plane on our front view. Remember, this is our front view, and then this is what is our top view, right? And then now we have drawn our sectional lines on our front view. These are sectional lines indicated in red on our front view. Okay, so this is how this was just a simple demonstration of what happens when we speak of a sectional drawing. So moving forward, what I will do, I will show you how to draw sectional lines. I will show you how to perform a full sectional front view. I will show you how do we perform a half sectional front view, a half sectional view. I will show you an offset view. All right. And furthermore, I will even show you guys things that we section in the sectional drawing and part of a drawing that we are not allowed to section throughout the sectional drawing. I hope this first scenario made it clear to you that when we are talking about a sectional front view, what are we exactly talking about? Right, majority of you guys have done drawings and this is familiar to you. And to those who are doing mechanical drafting for the first time, I hope this makes sense to them. And then it's going to assist them whenever they are solving their problems. Okay, now let us move on. Okay, so those are the dimensions that you are now can see, the one that are highlighted in blue in the front view. Okay, we can also see those ones. We can also see the center line of those circles there. Right, that that's part of the center line. Right. Now, how do we actually draw sectional lines, which is one of the most important parts of the sectional drawing? Okay, because the remember, whenever we are presenting our drawing, we need to adhere to ISO, okay, which are international organizational and standardization, which is ISO. So we need to make sure that we adhere to rules of engineering drawing. Okay. Right. So whenever we are indicating sectional lines or whenever we are drawing sectional lines, that is when we are actually showing areas that were in contact with the cutting plane. Cutting plane indicates whatever equipment that we use to cut our drawing. All right. So these lines, they are always drawn at an angle of 45 degrees. Remember, you've got your set square, you've got your 60 by 30 degrees, and then you've got your 45 by 45 degrees. So in this regard, whenever you are drawing your sectional lines, you draw it in 45 degrees. Right. Now, like I said, we are using standards. Okay, we are using standards whenever we are doing a drawing. Yet here in South Africa, we are using millimeters in our drawings. Okay, but then you should be able to convert measurements from inches to millimeters. As a draft person, you need to be familiar with different types of measurements, because if you can be employed to go and work in the United States, that's where they are using inches. So you need to be familiar with inches. Okay, now let us look at um, how do we actually draw these lines. So you can see from these two blocks. Okay, so we have drawn sectional drawing from those blocks. Okay, sorry. We have drawn sectional lines from that small block, and we also drawn sectional lines on the bigger block. So why do we show sectional lines on small block and big block? Whenever you are drawing a sectional line on your small block, your spacings between the sectional lines must be smaller, right? So the spacings at the big block must be a bit bigger, okay? You cannot draw the very same spacings between the big block and the small block, and hence here a common mistake that we normally do whenever we are drawing sectional lines, and they cost us marks. Okay, so the first one, when your line are too close to one another. This is a common mistake that we do on our sectional drawing. The second one, they are too apart. So you can compare between the two. The first one, sectional lines are too close to one another. Hence, the second one, they are too apart. So we don't do that. You can even compare these mistakes that I've highlighted with the two blocks, these ones, with these two blocks here. Okay. And then the third mistake, unevenness between the sectional lines. So the spacings between the sectional lines should be even. Your line should be equally spaced apart. All right. And then drawing unparalleled lines. If you are drawing your sectional lines, you need to make sure that your lines are parallel all the time. They should not bisect each other, or they should not meet each other. As you can see, our case number 4 here. So these are 4 common mistakes that we do whenever we are drawing sectional lines. So in short, number 1, we need to always remember that whenever we are drawing our sectional lines, they should be in 45 degrees, and there is a set square that we use to perform sectional lines, number 1. Number 2, your sectional lines should not be too close to one another. Number 2, your sectional lines should not be too apart from one another. Thirdly, your sectional lines should be equally spaced apart. Okay. And lastly, your sectional lines should be parallel to one another. So those are the 4 areas that you need to make sure that you adhere to and you consider whenever you are drawing sectional lines. I hope that one is clear. Okay, let us move further. Okay. Now, these are other things that you should not do whenever you are drawing your sectional lines. Okay, so the first picture that I've shown you is the correct way of drawing sectional lines because they are drawn in 45 degrees. Okay, but common mistakes that we do when we are drawing our sectional lines. Number 1, you can actually see that these sectional lines in red, they are not at an angle of 45 degrees. That is a common mistake that we do. And this is not according to standards of drawing sectional lines. And then using a different angle, maybe using 30 degrees to draw your sectional lines, or using 60 degrees to draw sectional lines. Remember, when I introduced sectional lines, I said we draw them at an angle of 45 degrees. And then lastly, drawing line that is parallel or perpendicular to the view, like this one here. So this is not acceptable whenever you're drawing sectional lines. But the first one here is the one that is acceptable for drawing what? Sectional lines. Okay, so every time when we are drawing our sectional lines, we need to make sure that we adhere to this and we avoid these common mistakes. Okay, all right, now let us move further. Now let's just look at the different types of section views, okay, that we have in mechanical drafting. Okay, we are going to start with the first one, which is full section view. A full section view is particularly the same as the first drawing that I've shown, on this slide. Okay. Now let us look at this block. Okay. I hope we can all see that 3D block. So on this 3D block, we are going to demonstrate what is called a full section view. Okay, I will keep emphasizing this. You won't be given 3D in any assessment. Okay, I've just done this 3D to make it easy for you guys to understand so that you can relate three-dimensional and orthographic projection. Okay, now we've got our top view of, of this 3D and we've got our front view of this 3D. All right. Okay. Okay, sorry. Now we've got the cutting plane. This is where we are going to cut our drawing. All right. And then we also need to show that cutting plane on our top view. Okay. Because you can see that the cutting plane is coming on the top view side. All right. And it's cutting through down. Okay. Now, this is where you are looking at your drawing. Now, one thing that I want to highlight here is that can you pay attention to the front view? Can you see that our front view has hidden details, which are dash lines, okay? Meaning they are unforeseen part of a drawing, okay? Once we have cut our drawing, these unforeseen parts of a drawing will be visible, we'll be able to see them, and then they are no longer hidden. So after that, there's no reason for us to keep them as hidden details. Okay. Okay. Now this is how we cut drawing. Okay. And we are looking at it drawing at the direction of the arrow. Okay. Whatever that was hidden, we are able to see now. Okay, meaning our hidden detail from our front view will become solid. But before we go into that, let us indicate our cutting plane, that flashing red on our top view. It indicates our cutting plane and the direction where we are looking at. So you can actually see that the direction of arrows and the direction that you are looking at on this side, they're in the same direction. All right. Okay, so now you can actually see that our hidden detail sets, we have turned them into solid, and then we have drawn our sectional drawing to areas that were in contact with what? With the cutting plane. Okay, I hope that makes sense. All right, so this is how we actually demonstrate a full section view. Okay. Now let us move to the half section view. So in the half section view, we don't cut half of a drawing, but what we normally do, we cut a quarter of what of the drawing. Okay, so here is our 3D block that will make our life much easier to understand sectional drawing. I understand from different students, this is the most complex chapter of engineering drawing, all right, entirely. And once you have mastered sectional drawing, it's easy for you to understand the upcoming chapter, which is assembled drawing. It becomes easy as well for you to adapt in the last chapter, which is a detailed drawing. So let us make sure that we do understand all the basic concept of a sectional view. Okay, we are done with a full section view. Now we are looking at a half section view. Okay, so here are two views of the block. Again, we've got our top view there, and then we've got our front view here. And our front view has what? Hidden details. That means there are some unforeseen part of a drawing, okay, which are hidden. Okay, so this is how now we cut this drawing, because we said we are cutting in quarter. We are no longer cutting in half. So this is how we cut it. All right. So whatever that is done on a 3D block must be indicated on what? On an orthographic projection. Because remember, we won't be given a 3D, but we will be only be given what? An orthographic projection. Whether it is if a first angle orthographic projection or a third angle orthographic projection. Right. So now we have changed direction. We are looking now from this direction. Okay, so this is the direction that we are looking from. And then we have removed a quarter of our drawing. Okay, this is how we cut our drawing. Now you can see that this is how we cut our drawing from our top view. This is how we've cut our drawing, and we are looking at this drawing from this direction. Now that we have removed a quarter of our drawing, what is going to happen to our front view? Okay. Right, so we have indicated our cutting plane in red. All right. So now there is a statement says a center line is used to separate the section half from the unsection half. So our point of reference here becomes what? The center line of what? Of the drawing. Okay, now let us look at our drawing further. Okay, so can you see that? Okay, let me go back. So please pay attention to what's the front view. Okay, you can see that the front view is still the same as it was before. But now the mere fact we have removed the half of it, this is what's going to happen. It means all the hidden details from our left-hand side will become what? Solid, because now we can actually see them. So these hidden details here, they indicate that hole there, right? Okay, so pay attention now to the front view. You can see now that these were hidden detail and they turn into solid. So here is the instruction of sectional drawing. Once you have cut a drawing, whether you are removing a half of a drawing or you are removing a half or a quarter of a drawing, we are not okay, it was cut through that area or not. But once we have cut a certain portion of a drawing, we're not allowed to further put sectional or rather hidden detail line. Okay, so that is why now we have removed hidden detail line on our right hand side portion of our front view, and this is how we have demonstrated what our sectional lines. Okay, now let us come into the last set of a section view, which is an offset. Okay, so this view is made by passing the blended cutting through a complete part. Okay, so here's our block again, and then we've got our two views, which is the top view. This is the top view of it drawing. It means if you are looking at it drawing from this side, this is what you see. Okay, and if you are looking at this drawing from this side, this is what you see. Okay, and you can actually see that from our front view, we have hidden details. Okay, now let us observe that if we are talking about offset section view, what are we actually talking about? Okay, so that one is our offset. So you can see that the cutting plane is not straight. Okay, this is how we cut our drawing. Okay, and then this is how our offset cutting plane is indicated in the drawing. It comes in a form of zigzag. You can see those zigzag. All right. And then we are looking in that direction of the arrows. Right. We remove the other half. Okay, after removing the other half, you know that our hidden details, they become what? They become solid. Okay. And then what is going to happen to our front view after we have removed the other portion of the drawing according to that cutting plane? Our hidden details, they become what? They become solid and we section. You can see that. All right, so one will wonder that, but now when we were cutting through the offset cutting plane, it has corners like this one and that one. That means we should have a line straight here. In engineering drawing, that one is not allowed. Okay, so those lines here, they are not allowed. Okay, we cannot draw lines across sectional lines. That one is not allowed in engineering drawing. So that's why I've indicated that do not show the edge views of the cutting plane. All right. So those are the three different types of section views that we are going to look at. And I hope that with these three types of section view, you did understood and you did get an idea of a sectional drawing. Remember, we are still going to apply the very same concept on the upcoming chapters, which is the assemble that has more marks, 35 marks, and a detailed drawing, which is 20 marks. So it is very much important for us to understand this concept now, all right, because we are still going to use it on the upcoming chapters. Okay. All right, so I hope this video will assist you up to this far. Let me end this video from here, and then we are going to continue on our next lesson. Okay. But I will appreciate if you really do attempt maybe one easy example before you even try exercises, and then try to apply all these three concepts of section view, which is full section view, half section view, and offset section. Okay, so on our next class, we are going to continue more in different types of sectioning, if I can call it that way. The parts that we are not allowed to section, and the different style of sectioning, but it's gonna make more sense on our next class. I hope you did understand, and I hope this video makes your life much easier when it comes to understanding of the sectional drawing. Till we meet again, thank you guys.